Bison Media Zone on WDAY Xtra.
And welcome everybody to a new edition of the Bison Media Zone here on WDAY Xtra with the Forum's Mike McFeely. I'm Izzo with North Dakota State, ready for its home opener on Saturday against a first-time opponent, the Tennessee State Tigers out of the Ohio Valley Conference. Will be here Saturday for a 2:30 kickoff. You can see the game live on WDAY. I think we've unpacked almost everything from Colorado outside of a couple nuggets I want to get to.
Yeah.
I just had Emmett Kenny on the show, kicks at Stanford. They went to Colorado last year, and I asked him about the experience at Electric. I said, can you just confirm, does everybody want to beat Colorado? And he said, yeah. There's no doubt. And that just adds to what we've talked about with the whole Dion thing.
People in Fargo and Bison fans should be familiar with that feeling.
Yeah,
because
yes.
for the last 15 years,
Yeah, right.
everybody
wanted to beat the Bison.
wanted to beat NDSU. And I remember Chris Kleiman, after NDSU lost, I think it was at Northern Iowa, to end their first 33-game winning streak, Kleiman said, I don't know, every time we lose a game, the fans rush the field and they're in the middle of the field having a party. So people still must be impressed with what we're doing, even though we lost the game.
I just got a feeling there'll be a lot of eyeballs on that Colorado-Nebraska game this coming Saturday night.
Be a good one.
That'll be all right.
Yep.
There'll be a lot of eyeballs on the Bison home opener as well, Mike, and certainly on the back end of the defense. Tim Polisic addressed it yesterday, specifically the safety position, something that we talked about on Hot Mike yesterday. And Polisic basically readdressed something we've already known. The players that they have are what they have. Cole Wisniewski's not going to be, coming in on parachute to save them sometime later this season. It's going to be on Sam Young, on Ryan Jones, on Darius Gibbons, maybe Jalen Crumby in a couple weeks to save their bacon on the back end.
Yeah, and we knew that. I thought one interesting thing before we get into what is there is Polisic said Cole Wisniewski's not going to come back. And so I don't know. And Tim didn't stick around afterward to kind of do the stop and chat with us. And so we couldn't quite confirm whether that means that he is done forever at North Dakota State. It kind of seems that way anyway.
Yes.
I don't know that.
Yeah. But
just Tim kind of had like a very final sounding statement there about that. So, which is no surprise, which they should not have expected him to come back this year. But it's what we talked about on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, which is they have what they have.
Right.
And so, I mean, it's gotten that way because of a number of factors, the transfer portal being one of them. How good would NDSU's defense look right now, as you've said, if they had Marquise Siegel and Dom Jones playing safety and Courtney Eubanks and then another cornerback back there? Everything would look all different in the North Dakota State defense. I think there's also been some recruiting misses under the Matt Entz regime. I think that I think they would admit to that if we would ever ask them about that privately. But I mean, Sam Young has a ton of experience, so that's a positive. Ryan Jones they were excited when they recruited him out of Frisco, Texas, and so he's a young guy. He's not a young guy, but he hasn't played very much.
He hasn't played
a lot in the games, and so there's room for growth there. And with Sam Young's experience, you hope that he can sort of make up for athletic deficiencies with his experience. The other thing that we need to keep harping on is they are not going to see Jimmy Horn Jr. and Travis Hunter and the stable of receivers again. There's going to be some good receivers in the Valley. There's going to be some good running backs in the Valley. They're not going to see the receivers that they saw in Boulder.
That's the glass half full part of this.
Yes.
And it's important to remember.
That's what I do. That's my role.
There's no doubt. But you can't let guys be running free for 20-some-odd yards, even if against FCS caliber. I mean, you're going to see the Tennessee State quarterback can throw. I mean, they've got some guys, but it's not Travis Hunter.
No, but I think those are fixable things.
Yeah.
I think the communication part of it and the being out of position part of it, those are fixable errors. You can't fix speed.
Nope.
You can't fix size. You can't fix skill. I mean, I could shoot a million free throws and I'm not going to play in the NBA because there's a lot of things going on here that prevent me from playing in the NBA. You, on the other hand, but anyway, but you can't. There's certain things you can fix. There's certain things you can't fix. I think that they can coach the kids up to be as good as they can be, and that's just what they're going to have to do. They're going to have to get stellar play out of their front seven, and their cornerbacks are going to have to improve to the point that you can trust them back there. but the safeties are going to be what they're going to be.
Stellar play is the best way to describe Cam Miller. Deion Sanders was effusive in his praise when you asked him about it after the game on Thursday. 3 combined touchdowns against Colorado. I thought he was accurate. We mentioned this a little bit yesterday. He was on time with his throws. He was effective with his legs. He had I thought, a dynamite start to 2024.
Another little nugget that came up that we weren't able to follow up on with Polisic yesterday was he mentioned that they were dealing with something with
working through
something before the game, and I have no idea what that is. But I will say that during the game, at certain points, the gentleman sitting next to me in the press box and I were both kind of going, does Cam have something going on? Because he looked like there was like a hitch in his giddy up, or just something that was, he was kind of like slow to react, or just something that was off. And I remember that moment in the game where the guy next to me goes, has he got something wrong with him? So I don't know what it was or if it was physical. Polisic said, I'm not going to get into it. But he also did confirm a feeling that I had was that, you know, when they brought Cole Payton in the game in that weird third quarter sequence, Polisic sort of referenced yesterday, I had to make some decisions during the game of when to give Cam a break.
Breather,
And so, and I remember at the time going, why are they taking Miller out? But he had just had like 3 consecutive running plays or scramble plays. And so I thought, well, did they take him out because of that? And maybe that combined, and this is all speculation, but maybe that combined with whatever they had to
ailing him,
work through before the game, maybe that led to that decision.
He still was pretty darn good, and that went to, you asked the question yesterday of Tim of, is that you need your best players to play at their best, and Polisic reaffirmed exactly what you asked him about.
So all of what I just talked about, you can't. I mean, he was fat. What if he's healthy, or what? You know, so what if he gets better from here on out? What if he's feeling better from here on out?
Then the Walter Payton is in sight.
Yeah, it sure is. Well, if he plays like he did on Thursday, the Walter Payton should be his, frankly. But no, Cam Miller was absolutely excellent. We've known that he's a top-notch FCS quarterback since he's, you know, his redshirt freshman year, maybe his redshirt sophomore year. Actually, he never redshirted. He actually played, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, it's the spring
because
year,
it's all the spring game. But the next step that he had to take going into this season was, in the biggest games, he had to be the guy. He had to be the man. I remember asking Matt Entz last year, who's going to be your dudes on offense? Because we were kind of wondering after the graduation of Hunter Lipke and no Christian Watson. And Matt Entz said in his office at the Fargodome during the summer, well, Cam Miller's going to have to be one of our dudes offensively. And there was times last year he said, yep, he sure is. There are other times throughout the course of Cam's career where he doesn't look like that. He looked like that Thursday, that he was the man.
They also were looking for playmakers. I think Polisic found a couple. Braylon Henderson had his best game as a Bison, I think, by far on Thursday night. Bryce Lance made a couple of plays. You had the TK Marshall play over the middle. I still think the run game, and Polisic made sure, and we played it on Hot Mic this morning, that's still there. But there were guys that emerged that we had not seen yet. Henderson and Lance being 2 of them that could be guys as the season goes along.
Joe Stuffle had a nice game.
Stuffle had a touchdown
as well. Joe Stuffle had a touchdown, had a couple other catches. One of them I remember being a pretty good catch for a big first down. So there are guys emerging. I still think that Marty Brown or Sharmar Brown can be a guy that can help them a lot. I think there's a lot of potential there. And Barika Penu and TK Marshall are a couple of veteran guys that should be able to get things done. There's maybe not the NFL type talent that's out there in a Noah Gindorf or a Christian Watson, obviously, or a John Crockett or Hunter Lipke type of guy. But I think there's enough there. We saw enough there with the way that Jake Landry game planned for this and Cam Miller executed, that they should be able to do some things offensively that maybe we didn't think they were going to be able to do.
Marty Brown, I'm putting the asterisk there. I think this is the coming out party on Saturday for him. I think there's an opportunity there.
Again, I've said this multiple times. I want to see them run the ball. I'm old school Bison media guy. I miss those days of 45 rushes for 320 yards.
See, you bring up a good point. How many times would they actually line up under center on the game? That wasn't much.
A lot
it was not a lot there. But
you have to play to your personnel.
Correct.
I mean, and maybe the coaches feel that they just don't have that personnel to be able to do that.
I will say, and Polisic was quick to point this out. Offensive line was pretty darn good. He made sure, you guys talking about it for 3 months.
Whenever a coach says, I appreciate that question, that means you irritated them with the question. So that's a little insider pro tip for the folks out there watching. If a coach begins an answer with, I appreciate the question, that means he doesn't appreciate the question. But the point is, and he's right to say it, that they played well.
Yes.
I mean, that was one of the questions going in, and the offensive line looked like they held their own. There were no bad snaps.
No.
There were no false starts.
Correct.
There were no muffed exchanges. And so they have to like where they are in the offensive line.
And they didn't rotate, Mike. Those 5 guys played the entire game. We're probably going to see that change for this week game with Tennessee State.
Depending how the game goes, you'd think so. Yep.
Those are the 5 guys.
Polsick also pointed out that Gray Zabel, there were, 31 NFL scouts there representing 25 teams or whatever it was. Yep. But Polsick mentioned that Gray Zabel helped himself.
I spoke to a couple of them.
Shedeur Sanders isn't the only guy, despite Deion Sanders' beliefs.
And Travis Hunter.
No, I don't even think he cares about it. I think it's just Shedeur.
It's Shedeur.
They came with they saw what they came to see. Well, they also saw Gray Zabel and Cam Miller, who were pretty impressive in that game as well.
It's unbelievable. The Bison are facing 2 legends of professional college football to start the season. First, Deion Sanders. This week, it's Eddie George, who's the coach of Tennessee State. He was hired 4 years ago to be the man for the Tigers. They won their season opener last Saturday in beating Mississippi Valley State. He's 1 game under 500 in his career coaching record. This is a team that I thought last year was threatening for a playoff spot. They lost their last 2 games. They play in what is now the Big South.
The last 3 games.
Big South Ohio Valley conglomerate there. It's a mix of some talent here. He's got quarterback in Draylon Ellis. You're going to see that he can throw the ball. This is is this your customary HBCU team, or they have more talent than we're used to?
Well, it's really hard to tell because they played a team that's just not
terrible,
good at all.
Yes.
Mississippi Valley State, bless them, but they're really not very good. But I think that Tennessee State has improved. I think that there are some who want to put Eddie George and Deion Sanders in the same bucket, as celebrity head coaches in college football. I think that's really unfair to Eddie George. I think Eddie George is in this for the right reasons.
He wants to coach.
I think Eddie wants to coach. I think he wants to build the Tennessee State program into something special. He's trying. They don't have much of a budget. They don't have much support. They've had some administrative shakeups and Board of Regents shakeups, and there's all kinds of stuff going on. But to say that Eddie George and Deion Sanders are a couple of guys that are getting by on their name, that's really unfair to Eddie George. And it might be unfair to Deion Sanders. Well, again, we'll see how it turns out in Boulder. But Eddie George is trying to build a program the way old school, using the transfer portal and all of that, but actually building a program by recruiting freshmen and building.
Correct.
And he said multiple times, even with his dalliances with Tyler Roll last winter, that he wants to run the ball. He's an old running back, man. He's a 6'2", 220-pound battering ram who was a Heisman Trophy winner and just outstanding. That's what he wants to do. That's music to his ears, is what NDSU
He was very
does
appreciative of the Bison offense.
Yes. And so, and he said yesterday, don't be fooled, Mike, with the way they threw. They are who they are, and they're going to run the ball. And I think that
music
he
to your ears,
that.
then,
Absolutely. Thank you. I'm on Eddie George's side on this.
He also had some glowing comments about the Bison quarterback and Cam Miller. He said, and before we play the soundbite here, he said Miller is the best quarterback that they face. He also had this to say about the Bison QB.
Cam Miller, he's able to do it all. Not only are you concerned with his ability to run the football, I believe him and the other quarterback, they led their team in touchdowns last year, I think, with 26. Between the two of them, they run the ball efficiently. Now the element of him throwing the football, his ability to sit in the pocket, and get outside the pocket, still look downfield to make the throws, cause some concern. So it's going to be a lot on our defense. It's going to put a strain on us to really be disciplined in terms of our eye discipline, keeping our eyes on our work, covering the receivers, really being disciplined in our rush lanes. And when we get a chance to get him down, we have to get him down. It's going to be fundamental football. He's a big kid, strong, great leadership, and it's going to be a great challenge for us.
Best way to describe it is you heard George talking about trying to keep their eyes on where Cam Miller was with the ball. He also mentioned something about Cole Payton. Real quick, Tennessee State played Jackson State twice.
Okay.
The former Jackson State head coach was Deion Sanders, and his quarterback was one Shedeur Sanders. They also played Notre Dame last year. Sam Hartman, who got a chance in the NFL right now. So that's lofty praise.
Coaches have been known to use superlatives the week of a game.
Once or twice.
Once or twice. So, you know.
Not diminishing Cam, but Shedeur Sanders is
no, not at all. But again, I asked the question yesterday of Tim Polasek, did Cam Miller up his stock Thursday as well? And Polasek said, yeah, I mean, I think he obviously did. But right now, Cam Miller is an undrafted free agent type. That's how he's viewed. If he has more games like he did Thursday, maybe he sneaks up into a late round, you know, 7th round guy, which would be terrific. No, this might be a better test than we think it might be. I mean, the spread's going to be huge, but I know that NDSU played well, and I know that you look at them now as like you're feeling better about NDSU today than you did on Wednesday. 1 week ago today, you were, as I was.
Yeah,
you know,
I don't think I was alone in that, but yeah.
No, but you've said that vocally that you think they're better than you thought they're going to be. This will be a good test with the quarterback who can throw a little bit. Not the same style as Shedeur, but we'll see what NDSU can do. And by the way, may I say this? Can every man look as good as Eddie George at age 50?
Right? He's looking pretty
good. This guy's 50 years old.
He was fit.
Put a green and yellow uniform on him and give him number. What number was he in pro football?
27.
Does he have a year of is there a COVID year we can fit in there and get him to play for
Everybody
NDSU?
else getting free years.
My goodness gracious, does he look good for being 50 years old?
We'll break. We come back. We'll look at the highlight matchups of Week 2 of the FCS season. Everybody at home this weekend in the Valley. We'll preview that. We wrap things up right after this.
Unleash the ultimate comfort during our Labor Day sale at Mattress Firm. Get a king for the price of a queen or free adjustable on select Sealy, Serta, and Beautyrest mattresses. Plus, save up to $700 on select Tempur-Pedic adjustable sets. Transform your sleep with unbeatable savings only at Mattress Firm.
Hi, Jeff here with Snert Stopper. Are gaps in your garage getting snow on the floor? Chilly winds blowing through your doors? Stop it with Snert Stopper Premium Door Sills. Our Kevlar reinforced door sills can cut out the cold and stop the snow while saving up to 40% on your heating costs. Snert Stopper Premium Door Sills are easy to install, made in the USA, and comes with a 25-year warranty. Visit snertstopper.com today. Snert happens. Stop it.
Hey, Tam fam, this is going to be our best season yet. Season 6, no one's doing daytime like us here in the Tam fam. No one's daring to go there, and you know we go there. Would you like to tell me more? Cooking things up hot, bringing the style and fashion to you, connecting with big emotions, big smiles, and the biggest wow. This season is all about you. Let's get down to it.
Weekdays at 2 p.m. Watch Bison football on the home of the herd, WDAY ABC. This week, the Bison take on the Tennessee State Tigers. Kickoff at 2:30 p.m. Coverage starting at 2:20. And watch Bison Game Day.
For people facing cancer, often what's standing between them and life-saving treatment is a ride to get there.
Today, I'm ringing the bell.
You can change someone's life in as little as 1 hour a week.
You got this.
Join the American Cancer Society to use your drive for good.
Thank you so much for picking me up.
Volunteer at cancer.org/drive to help save lives.
Hi. I'm your retirement fear. But don't be scared. You're still in pre-retirement.
Does that mean I have more time to plan?
Precisely. Here, this is pretirement.org.
Retirement savings options? Potential tax breaks?
Move.
This isn't scary. I'm doing it.
You got this.
Visit thisispretirement.org for free resources to help you customize your action plan.
Get it slippy, coffee check. Talk to doctor now and share it. Get it slippy.
it, slip it, cuff it, check it. High blood pressure silently affects millions of Americans. Staying on top of your blood pressure is as simple as these 4 easy steps. Self-monitoring is power. Visit manageyourbp.org to learn more.
Get inside the huddle. Watch the Bison Football Show with Coach Tim Polasek, presented by Gate City Bank for a better way of life. Player interviews, features, highlights, and more. The Bison Football Show with Coach Tim Polasek, Sunday nights at 10:35 on WDAY.
Unleash the ultimate comfort during our Labor Day sale at Mattress Firm. Save up to $900 on the Purple mattress and base, plus save up to 35% off the Casper mattress. Transform your sleep with unbeatable savings only at Mattress Firm.
Wrapping things up here on the Bison Media Zone. Just a couple minutes left. We have our highlight games of the week. You are an FCS Rube like I am. So we picked 5 that we think are at least potentially entertaining. Certainly the game in Grand Forks, Montana and UND will catch our attention. Yep. The word in South Dakota State, I think, has some. I think that Idaho-Wyoming game, circle that one as a potential upset.
I think Incarnate Word South Dakota State is going to get some buzz because Incarnate Word is ranked 12th.
Yep.
I don't know that they're going to match up with the Jackrabbits. Lindsey Scott isn't playing anymore.
He's not there anymore.
And G.J. Kinney is not coaching anymore. So I think that might be a blowout. North Dakota has a chance to flip their
that game. Yeah.
Flip the narrative on their season.
Yep.
I think that people just assume that they were not going to be very good with all the losses they had in the portal and the departure of Tommy Schuster. They looked better than expected against Iowa State. Yep. We'll see if that was real against Montana. And Montana wasn't impressive. That's impressive against Missouri State either.
Nope.
But I thought Idaho was very impressive against Oregon. I thought their defense was flying around. And Jason Eck, man, whatever you think of the guy up here in Fargo, he seems to be able to get guys to go to Moscow. So I think that's an upset alert. I think North Dakota might be an upset alert on Montana as well. The others, I think, are all going to be blowouts.
Southern Illinois needs that one at Austin Peay. They can't be 0-2 before their Valley schedule starts. They better get that one.
And I thought they were disappointed against BYU. I picked them in a hot take to beat BYU, but that was another one where they were never in the game.
One other one to throw out there is South Dakota, Wisconsin.
Yeah. Not maybe an upset alert, but let's see where Wisconsin was not that impressive against Western Michigan at all. Nope. Their quarterback just didn't impress me that much. South Dakota, that's a tough one. That's a Big Ten team and a decent one. But we'll see. Maybe we'll see where South Dakota, they go from playing Northern State
it's end of the spectrum there
to Wisconsin.
Yep.
I mean, that's wow.
Don't forget, everybody, Bison Game Day hits the air 10 a.m. on Saturday morning on WDAY to get you ready for Tennessee State. Myself, Jeff, Sam, and Kyle. Then we're on the air at 2:30 for Tennessee State and North Dakota State. Our thanks to Mike for joining us. We're back next Wednesday on the Bison Media Zone on WDAY Xtra. We'll see everybody on Saturday.